I'm Stephanie with Case and Co, and I am our marketing manager here with Allison. So, Allison, can you give us a quick introduction about yourself and what you're passionate about?
Yeah. So I'm Allison and I am just a clinician here in the state of Indiana. I am trained in EMDR, so I'm an EMDR clinician, consultant, and I do advanced trainings. And I'm also a somatic experiencing practitioner. Um, but my real heart and the work that really draws me to the healing world is the human animal bond. And so what I really love about the experience that I've had in therapy is how understanding EMDR and somatic work helped me understand why animals and nature are so important in our world. So I find that I tend to interweave all three of those experiences together um, to help really do a holistic healing with the beings that we live with every day.
As a huge dog person, all animals, but like really dogs, resonate with that. I feel like my dog is a very good co-regulator, which I don't know if that's a fair thing to put on her, but
Oh,
she does.
100% a fair thing to put out there. Yeah.
So here's just kind of actually a random question that just popped into my head. So a slight curveball to our questions. But what's like a couple, like one or two like interesting things you found as you were starting to explore like the human animal connection?
Oh, sure. Gosh, great question. I think that way that animals support our beings and how we support them as well, right? That both of those, that back and forth in relationship, the consent that we include in relationship with our canine friends or any of our companion animals is truly the basis of what a real relationship is based on, right? And I tend to find that when we stay curious to the components of a human animal bond, that it's mutually beneficial, it's reciprocal, um, there's consent in it, um, it's persistent and ongoing over time, that those are the true components to any bond in any relationship. But they're often, especially for those who have a lived experience of not having that, those are the safer relationships. And we can really start to understand what a true bond looks like through the lens of our animals, and then how we can expect that, right, in our human to human relationships, and how we can ask for that, and how we can identify that, and how we can start to believe in ourselves that this is something we deserve because we're worthy, because we're chosen, because we're loved. And then, when we're thinking about that, that's in our ventral space, right? That's in this part of our nervous system that says, I'm safe in this relationship. Um, I have worth. I have all these adaptive experiences.
Mm.
And that's really what we're doing in EMDR and somatic work, is helping our nervous system live more in those ventral spaces, where adaptive experiences can really be felt and lived in.
Oh, I love that. And you don't always think about, unless it's top of mind, like the safety we have in our relationships with our pets or any animal for that matter. But that's such a big thing. It's like, and it's reciprocal, right? Like they feel safe with us, we feel safe with them. And like there's this mutual, like spoken, unspoken, like you have my back, I have your back.
Exactly. And what's so cool about that is then that oxytocin is released, that love hormone that's traditionally talked about in mother and infant bonding, but it's also released in those caregiving relationships with animals, which is just such a neat little tidbit, and helps our nervous system again come back to regulation and be open to connection, be open to kind of moving towards instead of moving away from. And again, that's what we're teaching the nervous system, or we're supporting the nervous system in doing in any type of healing modality, really.
I love that. So we have an upcoming live course for you, somatic therapy on the clinical side, and you created a really amazing freebie or free resource for the Case and Co audience, Language of Sensation. So can you just walk people through like the best way to utilize that resource?
Oh, sure. That's great. So I think what we're really staying curious to is so many of our clients are used to noticing the kind of yuck sensations or those sensations I'll have to say that are screaming at me, like, pay attention to me. And those are the sensations that are difficult or they're tight and they're strong, they're constricted, they're pulsing really fast. And we want to start to help clients start to bring in to awareness like those sensations that are softer, that are maybe more comfortable or neutral, so that we have more space in the body to move around in. So I like to stay curious with that worksheet is how, when we're building resources, for example, when we're talking about our pets, when we're talking about the glimmers in our clients' lives, what shows up inside? Can they start to bring attention to some of those softer, more comfortable sensations? And is there capacity to stay with those a little bit more over time to grow that? But also, when we're paying attention to those uncomfortable sensations, naming them, describing them, giving them a texture, a weight, a size, or a shape, gives it out here. It's like a distancing technique. So instead of being hijacked by it here, I can describe it and it comes out here a little bit more so I can be curious about it. When we can bring in that curiosity of that internal state and watch it for a little bit of time, something may change. And that's kind of getting used to being in the body and staying curious to it without being hijacked by it.
For sure. So, with your upcoming course, Somatic Therapy, the Mind Body Connection, what is just like a really quick overview of that course and what can people expect to learn after taking that?
Yeah. Well, I hope people learn ways to stay curious to what the body's holding on to and really learn why the brain and body are holding on to trauma and how the brain and body are always talking to each other, right? How, what that looks like from the very beginning of kind of birth or in the womb, even, and how the body is moving through different types of trauma or holding on and storing that energy. So we'll spend some time staying curious to memory, implicit and explicit memory, understanding the physiological experience of trauma, but then really moving into ways to support clients in moving through that felt sense so that when there's activation, there's a deactivation and helping clients figure out ways that their body is geared to do that and how we can create spaces for that activation and then that deactivation to occur. I like to say, I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner, but I'm also just like a therapist who loves to read, who loves to take training, who's still in ongoing consultation. And it's just really fun to talk about and to help other clinicians learn how to do these skills or learn how to be in these spaces where it feels less stressful. I'm hopeful for that. It feels more like a conversation, that you're learning skills along the way that apply to you in the moment, but also are easy to walk away with, to use with your clients. There's some theory, but there's going to be a lot of practice, some videos that hopefully we'll be watching and some live demos that we're doing so that it feels like somatic therapy is tangible. It's something that you can walk away and feel like I can kind of do some of this stuff. And I have a little bit more of a solid ground to use with my clients.
I love that. And then is there anything else you want to add about your course, about the freebie, about you that might be helpful for someone before they take your course with you?
I think a little bit about me to know, well, the kind of mantra I learned in somatic experiencing, that's what I'm trained in, is more curiosity, less judgment. And you're going to hear that throughout the whole training is how can we just be open with curiosity about our experiences, both with ourselves and with our clients without judging them. I was just clipping a video and I'm like, I think I'm going to show that because I didn't do it great. And that's okay that we're going to make mistakes or we're going to have missteps in therapy. And that's not a big deal, that our clients are still going to heal. And so I hope that, one of the things that you take away, both from maybe being in any space with me, whether that be in this training or consultation or just if you meet me on the street, is holding that I'll be holding more curiosity and less judgment, both for myself in that moment, um, and just the world around us.
That's such a good takeaway. I always think about what the world would look like, which is a different rabbit hole we won't have to go down, but if people were more curious in general and less
Yeah.
like jumping to conclusions or making assumptions. But
Mhm.
yeah.
I agree.